Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about the movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to Movie Film. This is episode 220, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. I am Zachy Hassan, and I'm here with...
Brian Ho!
Hello.
That sounded like Rod Roddy, didn't it?
It did. I like it, though.
Come on down!
I just saw a clip from Price is Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's truly... It's one of these things where they give you... they give you like 5 numbers, and you have to rearrange them for the price of whatever the item is.
Mm-hmm.
And the contestant... Like, it was stupefying how dumb this person was.
Yeah.
Where she just, I mean, and it's one of those things where you say, like, I think I would know better than that. Like, even in this scenario where, like, the adrenaline is racing and you know, because there's always that. You're like, oh, come on, how do you not know that? But it's like, well, it's different when you're in it.
I can't remember if we've talked about this on the show, but I was on a game show called Lingo many years ago.
That's right.
With Sean Coyle. And I'm one of those people. I watch Wheel of Fortune. I always get the puzzles pretty quickly. Like, I feel kind of proud of myself. Like, I'm like, I would do good on Wheel of Fortune. And all that. But then I went on Lingo, and there's just something about the camera being on and someone talking to you and you realizing you're on television. And I'm sure most people haven't seen the show, but you have to keep coming up with these 5-letter words. And I got so nervous that I was just not going to think and say a word that was 6 or 4 and look like an idiot. And so I was spinning my wheels already, trying to make sure I didn't say, 4. And like, 4, you mean fours? Like the plural of 4. There's 2 4s standing in a line together. And so it was just funny when you watch it back, you can see, like, I'm a pretty, hey, I'm a loose guy. But like when I'm on TV, I was like, floor, flower. Like it's embarrassing. And I was like, all right, respect. I absolutely understand that it can happen. So.
Well, there we go. I stand corrected.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think about it all the time. I'm like, I would love to go back and try that again. Now that I've been through it, maybe you would think about it differently. But yeah. I could see being on Price is Right and looking at a car and seeing, like, 6 numbers and being like, ooh, all right. Like just it being a jumble in my brain. Well, I mean, 6 numbers.
That's kind of my thing is like, well, how do you not know the rough ballpark of what a car price is,
That's true. It's going to be from like 15 to 25. Likely.
That's right. Yeah. So
that's a good, yeah. But
anywho, what else is going on?
Yeah, well, I watched a few things lately. A lot of things that I was thinking they were all streaming, obviously, but I was like, oh, these feel like they would have been theatrical movies. Sometimes a movie was made for Netflix, and those can still be good. But I was like, oh, I can imagine seeing these on the big screen. And the first one was a movie called The Dig. And this was a movie I heard recommended on another podcast. And so I, on Slash Filmcast, and they all liked it. And I didn't even know this existed. But it's based on a true story. And it's the IMDb description is, an archaeologist embarks on the historically important excavation of Sutton Hoo in 1938. So basically, again, true story. Carey Mulligan plays this woman who owns all this land, and there are these sort of burial mounds in the fields, and she wonders if there may be valuable things down there. So she gets this archaeologist, played by Ralph Fiennes.
Rafe.
Oh, it says Ralph on IMDb.
Well,
I knew that too as I said it. I was like, that's wrong.
It's spelled Ralph.
Oh, is it really? Okay, so Rafe, yeah.
We
Rafe
have
Fiennes.
a movie podcast here, folks. It's I don't know if
I've done that before in the past too. I know I have. So Ralph, No, so he goes out there, and it basically becomes this thing where he does find this really crucial artifact, and then it becomes, the museum then wants to get in on this and sort of take over the excavation. And but as interesting as this movie was, it's very genteel. It's very slow. It's very tempered and patient and polite, kind of a movie. But if you're in the mood for that, and I really enjoyed it. And especially knowing that it was real, it was almost sort of going back in time, which is what the movie gets into a lot too, where it's like we are, these people have left history for us and we get to sort of live in their moment through the things they've left behind, and we'll leave things behind someday, and we're leaving history for someone else. And I think if you're in the mood for that, it's just a really nice, gentle movie. And I didn't realize, and through /Filmcast, they actually had someone who works at the museum that now houses the Sutton Hoo, and they reached out with a letter. And apparently this is an enormous historical event over in England. So I wasn't aware of this, but this is like a big deal over there. And so it was kind of cool to just learn about something I didn't know about. And if I ever go over there and visit, I would really love to check this thing out in person. So that was cool. On Netflix. Yeah, and it's very beautiful. It's a very beautiful movie, the cinematography and everything. So The Dig. I said, check it out.
Nice.
In a different sort of manner of movie, Batteries Not Included.
There you go.
This movie?
Brian traipsing through the late 80s.
This was on HBO. Was it Max maybe or something, or it was on demand or whatever it was. I just accidentally came across it and I thought, Batteries Not Included.
Matthew Robbins directed this.
Yes, and I bet this is a movie that a lot of people of our vintage would go, oh yeah, Batteries Not Included. But like, when was the last time you saw Batteries Not Included?
In the early 90s.
Yeah. This is a movie, one of those Steven Spielberg presents movies, but I don't think, obviously, it doesn't get as remembered as something like The Goonies or Back to the Future or any of those things. But I was just really curious. I remember liking it as a kid, and I was like, let's check it out. And man, this movie is like an artifact.
Brian, tell me it doesn't feel like an episode of Amazing Stories that they just padded out.
I mean, you stole my summary. That is literally what I was going to say. This feels like, and Amazing Stories, for people who don't know, was a show that was on was it a comic book series first?
It's like pulp magazines, not comic books, but yeah.
Okay, and then in the 80s, Steven Spielberg turned it into a television show, which is basically like the Twilight Zone, but more Spielberg-y and sweet and fantastical.
Yeah, exactly.
And, a lot of people doing Spielberg face, right? Staring up at the sky at a bright light sort of thing. And this absolutely feels, and I believe it was actually an Amazing Story that was pitched, and then he was like, this should be a movie. And it feels that way, and I don't even mean that in a negative way. Like, it does feel stretched out. Basically, the whole premise is you have these people who live in a building that's about to be torn down in New York, so they can put up skyscrapers, and there are these holdouts living inside. And this is ragtag group of people. Some of them are elderly, some of them are kind of down and out, and the guy who's coming to collect, so to speak, and trying to drive them out, basically bangs up their place with a baseball bat. And then the next morning they wake up and the building's restored. And you come to find out that they're these little machine aliens that are fixers.
Yeah.
And so they basically come and fix all the stuff that's been broken, and they restore the building, and they become these people's friends. And it's the most 80s Spielberg-y thing you could possibly imagine.
It's like 80s Spielberg produced Mad Libs.
Absolutely. And it's very, very light. I mean, it's not heavy. It's so sweet, maybe too sweet for some. But when it was over, I couldn't believe how much I remembered of it, actually. I mean, the score was coming back to me, the James Horner score. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, the little machine robots have babies. Like, this is what we're working with here. But it's adorable. I was so curious if a kid now, like if your kids watched it, if it would hold their interest at all.
No, they would hate me. They would leave. They'd move in with the neighbors.
Yeah, I wouldn't just give it like a broad recommendation, but I think if you are a child of the 80s or someone who definitely wants to see that little missing corner of the Spielberg universe they haven't seen, I think it's cute and you'll probably enjoy it, but I don't know that it would hold up to people's attention spans today. But it was charming. It was charming as heck. Like it was cute. I really enjoyed rewatching it. So, batteries not included.
With Hume Cronin and Jessica Tandy.
Yep, who are great. They're great. They're all great. It was a fun, very, very 80s. It's so 80s, this movie.
It's 88, right?
87.
87. Okay, so it's just before Driving... Oh, no, Driving Miss Daisy was 89.
Okay. Yeah. So pre that.
Kind of in that vicinity. Anyway, go on.
But, and then I watched another Netflix movie called I Care a Lot, which is not a nice movie. So if you're in the batteries not included mood, do not watch I Care a Lot, because batteries not included is about helping the elderly, and I Care a Lot is about elderly abuse.
Isn't it just Rosamund Pike being awful?
It is, but I will say that I actually like this movie a lot.
Okay.
And
so you did care a lot.
I cared quite a bit about this movie. But I would say, yes, it is her being awful, but she is done well. And it's a movie, again, that I would not recommend to everyone. I think some people are going to be really turned off. She's horrible, and she's horrible throughout the whole movie. And you're watching, these poor people who are sort of defenseless, and the families who are trying to help them basically just get steamrolled by this awful, awful person. But there's a twist. And I'm almost like hesitant to reveal it because I didn't know the twist when I watched it. And it happens in the end of the first act. I mean, that's the engine of the movie. But basically, she finds someone that she thinks is sort of like a plum elderly person to exploit. But maybe she didn't do her homework so well about who's connected to this person. And when that happened, I was like, oh, I did not see that coming. Like I started leaning forward, like, well, now what? Let's do this. And it becomes this almost maniacal person versus maniacal person movie. And what I loved most about it is unpleasant, but I was also able to remove myself from it, as real as this is. I mean, this is awful subject matter, but I was able to sort of take myself a layer back and realize I was watching a movie and wanting to see these awful people get their comeuppance. So it almost became, I was able to distance myself from the reality of some of it. But I just really, I've said this a lot, but I love watching a movie where I have no idea where it's going. And this is a plot I've never seen before. This is everything that came next. I did not know what was going to happen. Sometimes what you expect does. Sometimes what you absolutely do not expect does. And I was like, I hate all these people, but I have to know how this ends. And I've seen many, many, many places people hate the ending of this movie. And I think the Rotten Tomatoes score is 82% and the audience score is 36%.
Ouch.
So that tells you something. But I have to say I kind of like the ending. I found myself on an island with that. My brother and I, we were talking about it afterwards. This was our movie club thing where we do the Netflix party. And a lot of people, even in our group, seemed kind of turned off by the movie. But I was like, I think that was actually kind of the perfect ending. So this is a movie I almost wish we could do behind a spoiler wall and just kind of dig into it. But for people who are in the mood for dark. It's dark. It's a dark comedy-ish thriller, sort of thing, like twisty-turny movie. This movie just kept surprising me. And I found it a really interesting, kind of invigorating watch.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I saw something too, Brian.
Oh, what'd you see?
I saw a movie called Nobody.
Nobody? Who's in it?
It is Bob Odenkirk.
Saul himself.
That's right. Yeah.
Saul Goodman.
The one and only. The journey of Bob Odenkirk's screen persona is a fascinating one to me because the very first time I ever saw him was when I was a kid. He was one of the cast members of the Ben Stiller Show.
Right.
And he was, he was like funny sketch comedy guy, which he carried forward into Mr. Show with Bob and Dave.
Mm-hmm.
And so his transition to like dramatic actor through Breaking Bad and Saul has been like very pleasant to see because he's somebody I've always liked.
He's so solid.
right?
So solid, yeah.
And so Nobody, I feel like it represents another turn where he assumes the mantle of badass Liam Neeson style action hero.
I'm listening.
That's what I'm saying, right? I'm like, folks, if you listen to the show, you know a couple things. You know Brian loves Better Call Saul. You know Brian loves Liam Neeson action movies.
Yep.
So it's like, let's put him in a blender and let's add Christopher Lloyd as Bob Odenkirk's dad.
That's amazing.
This is like the Brian melange, you know? And it pleases me to say I loved this movie.
Oh man, so not just enjoyed it. I mean, you loved it.
I loved it. I'll give a very broad pitch because I don't want to. I think it's a movie that's worth just experiencing. But essentially, Bob Odenkirk plays a guy named Hutch who's just kind of living this like, boring suburban life. Upper middle class, nice house. Never sees his wife because she's out working, and he's kind of working this office job at like a construction company. Every day, monotony. And then one night, these burglars break into his house. And they take his watch, they take whatever, open cash is lying around, and then he finds out that his daughter's like kitty cat bracelet is missing. And that's like a bridge too far for him.
Right.
And he's like, you know what? F these people. I'm going to get my shit back. And that's the starting point of something that eventually expands to include the Russian mafia and exploding buildings and burning mountains of cash and just absolute chaos.
Yeah.
But how we get there is the journey. And what I loved about this movie, I mean, it is very funny.
Yeah.
But it is like darkly funny. Like I can see a scenario where if I was in the theater, I would be the only one just cracking up. But it knows what it's doing. It's actually written by Derek Kolstad, who like wrote the John Wick movies. He like created John Wick.
Oh wow! So this is not even like a John Wick riff. This is coming from the people who brought you John Wick.
Exactly. But the cool thing is, it's not trying to turn Bob Odenkirk into John Wick. Not really. Like it does something a little different. And I think part of it is because Keanu Reeves is just like cool as ice, right? Like there's just something about him where it's like he's always in control. And I think Bob Odenkirk, I think part of his appeal, even on Saul, he's just kind of an everyman, right? And so seeing him in a movie like this where he's asked to do what he does, I think it's just a fun combination.
Yeah.
So if you had told me January 1st of this year, Bob Odenkirk action hero is something you're going to really come to cherish, I would have been like, what?
Yeah.
What do you got, pandemic brain, But I cannot recommend this movie enough. I absolutely loved it.
Wow, okay.
And I like it. And Brian, generally speaking, we don't talk about movies until we do the show. But this one, as soon as it ended, I texted you.
Yep.
And I was like, dude, I just watched this movie, and I know you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain you will you will enjoy it.
All right. Well, now this is one of those like rentals, like simultaneous VOD and theater things, like $20.
Correct. So it hits theaters this Friday, and it'll be on VOD at the same time.
Okay. I've been sort of hesitant with some of those things, and I don't know why, because I haven't been to the movies all year. Movies out where I am cost like $15, $16. It's like it's almost like like Minari, for example. I've been wanting to watch Minari, and I find myself waiting for it, and then I'm like, well, why? Like, if that's something I want to see and I kind of want to support, then I'll plunk down my $20. I think the only thing I have watched that was Barb and Star, which was absolutely worth it, and I was glad I did. So, yeah, maybe this will be another one that I do.
Well, Bill and Ted last fall.
Oh, Bill and Ted. Wow, it feels like so far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
This is totally like invite your brother over and have some fun,
Yeah. Well, actually, I do want to clarify with Bill and Ted, because that was a purchase, right? Like, you got to keep that?
That's correct.
But this one you do not get to keep?
Oh, you know what? I guess that's right. I haven't done any of these. Yeah, it's like a $20 rental.
Okay.
That's right. I think that's right.
All right. Still.
And just to be very clear, as far as this film, I mean, know what you're getting. It's directed by the guy who made Hardcore Henry. It's
Sure.
It's that movie. It's
Right.
It's. I don't want to oversell it relative to what it is. I think it's a really good. It's really good at being what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I want to clarify that. But let's take a short break. Come back. Talk through some listener letters that we just got. And we are back, and hey, we got a couple different comments on our most recent couple episodes that I wanted to share, Brian.
Okay.
So Tom McClellan messaged us in regards to our last regular episode, and he says, I unapologetically love Space Jam and The Last Action Hero.
Oh, cool.
Which I think Tom is about like 10 years younger than us.
Okay.
So it seems like you have to be 10 years younger than us to unapologetically love The Last Action Hero and Space Jam.
You know, yeah.
Like that's, and I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, that's like the exact right age to just take those movies in for what they are.
No, I agree. Yeah, exactly. I think especially with Space Jam, I don't know how that missed us. Maybe we were just slightly too old when it came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we mentioned this. I mean, that movie is like a touchstone for a lot of people who are just slightly younger than us.
Yeah, because that movie was fall of 96. So I was a senior. You were probably a junior, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Right? I feel like if you were in up to 8th grade when Space Jam came out, that's like, it hits you right between the eyes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm just guessing. I watched it in the theater, and you know, I pretty much left it there. Like I didn't dislike it, but I was like, well, I mean, that was a movie, you know.
Yeah, no, I remember. I liked the Looney Tunes. Obviously, I like Michael Jordan. The thing I remember, it's so random, but I remember there's a moment where two characters are like Pulp Fiction.
Yes,
and you know, like I just remember some of the sort of random '90s-ness of it. I'd watch it again at some point. It's been a while.
I've seen it at least a couple times in the last couple of years. I mean, you know, obviously, I think I've said before, like my kids know Michael Jordan from Space Jam, and only from watching The Last Dance, we're like, oh, there's like history there, you know. Well, thank you for that, Tom.
Yeah, appreciate that. I'm glad to know that someone else is excited for the 4K Last Action Hero.
I genuinely am. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
Here's another comment. This is in regards to our Superman 2 commentary. We got people with the trivia and the corrections, so this is good. You mentioned, you remember we talked about that annoying kid in the southern town, and you mentioned the trivia about the kid dying, and I was like, I don't think that happened. Well, this is from Mike Zomo, who says, in the TV cut, as the irritating kid flees. And I wonder if the kid is credited as irritating kid, because I feel like
right.
As the irritating kid flees, either Ursa or Zod heat visions him and the horse out of the movie. Someone says he was just a boy, and Ursa says, who will never be a man.
You seriously?
Yeah, it's dark.
Wow. Okay. Excuse me. I thought I had read that. That doesn't feel like that movie. But
right?
Yeah.
It went to a dark place very suddenly. And then it goes right back to like, hey, there's ice cream in your face, and you know. Right.
Something else I read studying up on Superman 2 was that in that era, it was like contractual that filmmakers make more footage than will go into the theatrical cut for TV, like to make TV events out of these things.
Right.
So
well, that was certainly something that the Salkinds did. You're saying that was just like par for the course in general?
Well, you know, then maybe that's the case. Maybe it was specific to these Superman films, but that was, I read it as something general, but I would believe that it was maybe just to these.
Yeah, because they did that with...
That did happen, right? Like, remember, even Waterworld, that might have been a little different, but it was like,
Yeah.
They would build these movies out on television, or even like Naked Gun, which I know Naked Gun and Planes, Trains, that had more to do with running time, but they would have these TV versions that had extra scenes in them. Ace Ventura's like that, Billy Madison.
Oh, okay, so I mean, it's well, and just now there's a story making the rounds about how, like, there was enough alternate footage from Mrs. Doubtfire to make it R-rated.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can imagine, right? Robin Williams
just going off, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Superman 2, here's a comment from Chris Hutton who says, Rich Little was responsible for the, quote, Gene Hackman, the voiceover.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you remember Rich Little, right?
Uh-huh.
He was like I feel like he's still alive, right? I feel like I should look that up.
He's one of those people that I feel like I know because I'm on the cusp of the Carson era.
Right. Yes.
You know?
He was
like, I'm not like totally familiar with him, but I know who he is.
He was he's still alive, a famous impressionist.
Yeah.
And what I remember him from, he hosted a show called You Asked For It.
I don't know this.
Which I honest to God, I've like looked for clips online and I can't find it, and it feels like I'm in like a very peculiar bubble. But that's what I remember him from as a kid. But he was well known for doing impressions like Carson. In fact, he played. In fact, speaking of Carson, in the movie The Late Shift, remember that the HBO movie?
Yeah.
About Letterman and Leno. He played Johnny Carson, and it was solely because of his impression, because he looks nothing like Johnny, like not even a little bit.
Yeah.
So he did the voiceover. Is the new piece of info we got. He was whenever the back of like the Lex Luthor character, who's obviously not Gene Hackman's, like, hey, what are you guys doing? That's Rich Little.
Yeah.
So
Let's go left, Miss Tessmacher.
Yeah, exactly. Mush.
That's another thing too. I learned where sometimes actors have voice doubles. Like Tom Hanks uses his brother.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so sometimes to do, things that he doesn't either want to do or have the time to do, his brother will double because he sounds just like him.
I wonder how the brother feels about that.
Yeah, I wonder if that's plum or if that's just like, yeah, sure.
Like kind of insulting.
Yeah, right.
Here we go.
Yeah. Could you do it a little more like your brother?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. Through the intercom.
That's I actually I didn't realize Tom Hanks had a brother.
Yeah.
Now I know. That's a new piece of trivia for me. Here is another letter. This is from Matthew Sharif, who says, okay, guys, it's been a full weekend. Yes, life comes first, but we need to talk Snyder Cut. Well, Matthew, lucky for you, that's what we're about to do on the other side of this break. All right, Brian.
Let's
we're back.
Do this.
So there's two big releases, two big superhero things the same weekend.
This was a pretty colossal weekend.
Yes.
In terms of superhero content. Absolutely.
So we got the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League is now out. It is in the world. It has gone from a hypothetical to an actual. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. And then we have the first hour of 6 hours of Falcon and Winter Soldier on Disney Plus. So we can talk about both, but which order would you like to proceed?
Oh no.
Yeah. Pressure's on.
Shoot, because they're both kind of have spoilers, huh?
Yeah. Well, I suppose. Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to speak longest about Justice League.
Okay.
So do we want to put that last?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do it.
Okay, so then we're going to start... Sorry, Matthew. We're going to start talking about... We'll start by talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Wait, what does Matthew want? Let's do the opposite. Sorry, Matthew. Your friend, Brian Hall.
So we had a week lull between Marvel shows.
Yeah, there was a behind-the-scenes thing that they dropped, right, in the interim there. Did you watch that, by the way?
I watched part of it.
WandaVision? Same. I got about 30 minutes, and I felt like I got it.
Yeah, right.
But,
like, it was
but
good.
At the same time, I did enjoy it. It
Yeah.
was kind of cool to see the cables and the whatnot, and it was cool. Good behind the scenes footage.
It tells you something about how already spoiled rotten we are, that the 1 week wait between WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier led to like, no, a whole week.
I know.
It's like Homer, alley ball.
You know, it's kind of interesting. I had heard that due to COVID, WandaVision was being finished right up to air.
Yes.
So I think it needed all the time it could get. And this Falcon Winter Soldier, I mean, I'd be willing to believe that it could be the same thing. Maybe they needed that extra week.
Well, Falcon and Winter Soldier was actually supposed to go first. They were supposed to launch with this, which when you think about it makes sense because it's a little bit more traditional.
Yeah, sure.
In terms of what we expect from this universe, right? So it is kind of interesting that they launch with kind of the Twin Peaks version. I mean, as about as Twin Peaks as the MCU gets, right?
Sure.
And that one really like broke through in a big way.
Yeah, and it's cool that it did, isn't it? You know, it just proves that you can push this stuff and people are willing to play ball.
I think that's what, I mean, they've bought themselves 13 years worth of rope.
Yeah.
Where people are like, all right, I'm down. Let's see what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
So the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, this is a little bit shorter. It's 6 hours instead of 9, 6 episodes instead of 9. But the first episode is almost entirely place setting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, maybe this is just my bias. I'm like, I love all of the action stuff is fine, but for me, I'm like, give me more of like Falcon hanging with his family. Like that's what's interesting to me. You know,
likewise, I think I do find myself these days during action sequences. Those are the moments my mind wanders, or I feel like I can run and go get a cookie or something. And when everyone's talking, that's when I'm like, hey, let's listen up.
Right.
So I think I enjoyed this. This whole episode felt like several moments that you wouldn't have the time for in the movies. You know, they'd be severely truncated or alluded to or whatnot. But they spend a moment discussing like how much the Avengers get paid.
Right.
In this, and I was like, fascinating. Tell me more. I actually want to hear it. And then I think they even kind of cut that conversation short. I'm like, no, I want to hear this. I'm very curious how they live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about how like both Bucky and Sam are like, I mean, in the Avengers pecking order, they are secondary, tertiary characters. Mm-hmm. So the idea of giving them a focus to this extent just isn't going to happen in a movie, right? So to me, this is almost like it's better for them than being in a movie because you just really dig deep. Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact that we got a whole hour and these characters don't even meet yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't feel that. Like to me, I was mentioning Sam with his family, but even the Bucky storyline. Mm-hmm. Where he's having flashbacks to the assassinations that he did. Now he's trying to make amends. Mm-hmm. That's just stuff that's like, to me, that's what's cool about having this universe exist and having been around as long as it has, is you can start digging into the corners and stuff. Mm-hmm. And you know what I mean? The rules of the world have been established enough where we get it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And they know we want this.
Yeah.
You know, so it's they can. I love that, right? Like it almost feels like I heard this sort of like axiom about like screenwriting where they always say write something an actor would just kill to do. You know, like write a character that they would be like, I gotta play that, because then they, that's what's going to get your script, someone attached to it, right?
Yeah.
And you think with these movies, because they're so stacked with actors, they're like hoping they at least get one great moment, right? And like, oh, I got this killer moment in that one, and I get a killer moment again in this one. But like, can you imagine how delicious this must be for them, where they get to just completely exist as these people and have all these moments that they otherwise wouldn't have had?
Yeah. Huh. That's really true. Like, I mean, it's these shows, these Disney Plus shows. What strikes me is it doesn't feel like a step down from the movies,
Agreed.
right? Like say what you will about Agents of Shield, which is a show I've defended. I mean, that always felt like, well, that's kind of that's like the TV budget version of all this.
Sure.
And what I really appreciate is how seamless this feels, where it's you want to see what happens next? Watch this. Mm-hmm. Oh, what happened to Sam after he accepted the shield? Well, you got to watch. Like, it's part of it's baked into the chronology.
You know, what's nice going for this show also is, whereas Agent of Shields, with no disrespect to the stories they were telling,
Yep.
I mean, they didn't have the budget.
Yep.
Right? But this starts off with this crazy action sequence in the sky that otherwise, I mean, previous possibly to this show, I mean, that would have to be reserved for a movie budget, right? And not just some 45-minute TV show.
You know what's interesting about the opening sequence? They very deliberately try to parallel the opening action scene in Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay.
It's the main character being called into action on a mission by the government. He literally jumps out of a plane both times.
I didn't put it together.
Right,
on the boat.
And he's fighting the same guy.
Yeah. Huh.
Right. It's George Batroc who, if you remember in Winter Soldier, that's the guy. He's the guy who took over the boat. Mm-hmm. So they're at least on an unconscious level, they want you in that headspace where you're like, he has in many ways become Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Except for the crucial thing of he's not wielding the shield.
Right.
And
Which, by the way,
yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, mine's a little tangent, but I was just gonna say, something that I'm never gonna do in my life, besides ever jump off a cliff in one of those little flying squirrel suits. Jump off a cliff in a flying squirrel suit and then go into a helicopter.
Right.
I was like, dude, if you go up 3 feet,
seriously, it's gonna be sliced up like deli meat.
I know. It was cool though.
Great. I mean, I could not see where the practical footage and the digital and the green screen, where I couldn't see the seams.
It's incredible where we're at now.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The specific through line to me, this is what's interesting to me about this series is what happens when a black man is given the opportunity to be Captain America. Like, that's the question.
Mm-hmm. Wait, should we throw up a little spoiler thing here so we can just dig in?
Yeah, okay.
We'll do that, and then for people who haven't seen it, I'm assuming most people probably have at this point if they're listening, but just listen for the commercial music, and then you'll know when you're getting to Justice League.
There you go.
Cool.
Spoilers.
So we start out the film. It feels like a film. We start out the episode with the replay of the audio at the very end of Avengers Endgame, right? Mm-hmm. It feels like it belongs to somebody else, right? And so I like that right away we're in his headspace, and what I really appreciated is that they play his decision off of Rhodey. Like the idea that you have the ability with these shows to just pull in Don Cheadle for like a scene.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the stuff that really makes it feel like these things are not meant to exist to the side of the movies.
Yeah, typically on a TV show back in the day, it would be like, well, he's on assignment, but
right.
He would want you to know. He sent a telegram, in fact.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
But these they can just bring in whoever they want.
Yeah. And for some reason, I mean, that's meaningful to me that these are like the two most prominent African Americans in this franchise, and that the characters are friends. Mm-hmm. I don't know, and to be able to play that out, and yet, so he's like, I can't accept the shield. I'm going to give it to the museum. If you notice, they're very deliberately not saying what's happened to Steve. Like, I mean, the implication is that he's dead, I guess.
I wondered. Yeah.
Right?
I did wonder where Steve was. Yeah.
My prediction is that we will see Chris Evans in this series.
Sure. Because he said, right, that he might consider coming back or something.
I mean, he said no. He's like, I don't know. Because there was that rumor a couple weeks ago, remember, that he's like signing a new contract or whatever.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of, yeah.
And Kevin Feige has like categorically denied it, but I don't trust anything he says either.
Right.
Like, I mean, to me, it's like, well, I don't want to know. I want to be surprised.
Same.
So don't tell me one way or the other. But it sure feels like them leaving. Because even in the beginning, the guy's like, hey, what's happened to Steve? Is he like on the moon or something, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
I mean, why put those questions out there unless you intend to follow through in some way? Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So to me,
but that was surprising to me. I wondered if we were going to kick off with him having the shield, and then with him donating it to the Smithsonian. I was like, oh, like, okay, this is what we're doing, right? Kind of subverting,
Well, and speaking of subverting, I love how the hour ends with the new Captain America.
Yeah.
Played by Wyatt Russell, by the way.
Yeah.
And just the way they play it off of Anthony Mackie's face, like that to me made it worth it. Like the look of like, oh God, what did I do?
Right.
And for those of you who are listening who maybe don't know, I mean, the character that Wyatt Russell plays, he's John Walker, who in the 80s, there was a storyline where essentially the government's like, hey, they tell Steve Rogers, like, if you're going to be Captain America, you're going to do what we say. And he's like, F that noise.
Right.
Peace out. And he quits. That's a verbatim. I'm quoting verbatim from the comic.
Smell you later.
Smell you later. Yeah, losers. Yeah. And so he leaves, and so they bring in this guy, John Walker, who was previously this other like faux patriotic character called the Super Patriot, which is subtle. And he's like a total, like he was MAGA before there was MAGA, like that type of thing, And so that's kind of who this guy is.
Oh, funny.
Right? And so obviously that's just a neat piece of info to know. I mean, I have no idea how it'll play out in the show, but like you have a sense, like, yeah, that's who the government would want. They'd want a guy who's just going to follow orders, right? And so again, it's one of those things. Okay, well, how does this play out?
See, yeah, that's I don't know what's up ahead, but that I kind of like that. I was surprised that he was handing over the shield, and then I realized this series is probably him going to be learning that he deserves the mantle.
Yeah.
Him proving it to himself or something. And I was like, that's a great idea.
I mean that sense of like Steve believes in him.
Right.
Right. But ultimately that by itself isn't enough if he doesn't think he should have it, right?
Yep.
And again, going back to what I was saying earlier, to me that's the fascinating, like the cultural conversation about is America ready for a black Captain America?
Right.
So solid start to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah,
well, and then, to mention Bucky's whole thing, I love the idea that he's hanging out with this old man, and then you find out that, he had killed his son. I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
This is good. Like this poor tortured guy.
It's, in Captain America Civil War, there's the moment where after Tony finds out that Bucky killed his parents, right? And they're having a fight, and he's kind of got him in a lock, Stark, he says, "Do you even remember them?" And Bucky says, "I remember all of them." Right? And it's like, think about that for a second. For more, 70 years or whatever it was that he was, he would be revived, and he would be sent off to murder people, and then he'd be put back into ice. And to carry that with you, all of that,
Yeah, I mean, that could be its own show, right?
Yeah.
And I just love the idea that eventually we're going to pair these guys up. I mean, I'm just so ready for whatever that looks like.
Yeah. So good stuff, man. I'm excited.
Good drama, yeah.
All right, well, let's take a little break, come back, and talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. And we are back, and you know what else is back, Brian?
What's that?
The Justice League.
No. That cut doesn't exist.
Oh.
See, this is how with movies. Sure, could be in an Avid, but it's not finished. You can't release it.
Well, funny story.
We've had this conversation.
One thing I'm very grateful for is that I avoid speaking in absolutes.
Sure.
Because, I find I have less egg on my face to clean off.
You know what, though? I will say, I don't think we ever said it was impossible. I think it was more like improbable.
Yes.
Because that was true. I mean, it wasn't finished. It would have taken millions of dollars to finish, and nothing like that has ever been done before.
Right.
Until now. and it turns out, I mean, this is unprecedented.
I mean, if you would, let's look at it this way. By way of the backstory, which everybody listening at this point knows, the original version of Justice League comes out, and it's a cobbled together Frankenstein monster of a thing. It utterly tanks. It doesn't underperform. It is disastrous. Mm. And at that point, almost immediately, the clamor starts online. Oh, we should put out, Zack Snyder's original cut, because he talked about I screen my assembly and blah blah blah. Right. So there was a version that always existed.
Right.
And when you look at the boxes that needed to be checked in order for that version to be released, you'd be like, right. Well, it needs to be finished, and there's no way Warner Brothers, they've already lost money on this. Why would they put it back in theaters? And It's like, oh please, like they're gonna start a whole new streaming service. What are the odds of that? Right. A bunch of stuff happened, right? So what I had said all along is I think something will be released. I think it is inevitable that something will eventually be released in some form.
Mm-hmm. Like possibly like the Donner cut.
Exactly. I was like, we waited 25 years for the Richard Donner edit of Superman 2, and if you say never, I say forever. It's a very long time.
Right.
And it turns out we only had to wait a fraction of that.
Yeah. And a lot of things did have to happen. I mean, HBO Max had to be created. They had to spend $70 million to finish it. Mm-hmm. But it happened. These people willed it into existence, and that's pretty incredible.
It is an achievement, whichever way you look at it. Now, I hope that people don't learn the wrong lessons, which is I can be a toxic asshole.
And that's a hard thing too. Is like you don't want to lump everybody into, the hashtag release the Snyder cut. Some people were very, very terrible and cruel and gross, and some people were just passionate and just wanted the movie to exist. So for those people, I'm very happy.
That's the thing, right? And I feel very grateful, partly because of this show, partly just because of the friends I've made who have allowed me to appreciate, my personal perceived flaws notwithstanding, the stuff that works about Zack Snyder's view of this universe. Mm-hmm. Right? The ones who are clamoring for his version of Justice League, I was like, I want to see it anyway because I'm interested. I'm curious. Mm-hmm. I hope it's good for the people who've been waiting for it. Mm-hmm. So, in terms of people listening to the show, Adam Lance Hendrickson, Lisa Sancello, Spencer Toyson, Phil Barker, Mike Snyder, Josh Gilbert. There's more, right? Mm-hmm. But just being very candid, these are the folks who have made me appreciate Batman vs. Superman more in the 5 years since it came out.
I 100% agree, and I was thinking of those very people while I was watching Justice League and almost smiling for them.
It's funny because as we record this today, exactly 5 years ago today, I went to my press screening of Batman vs. Superman.
Really?
Exactly today. And what I tweeted was, I think I hated this movie.
I think I remember that, actually.
Yeah, I will say this. In the past week, as in the lead up to Snyder's release of Justice League, I went back, I watched Man of Steel, and then I watched the Ultimate Edition of BVS. I watched with my kids, and then I even watched the theatrical edition of Justice League. And I with Batman vs. Superman, which I still have issues with it, but I can appreciate it, especially the Ultimate Edition. I mean, it is, without question, it is a better movie. Mm-hmm. And the stuff that's added in, not only I think makes the story hang together a little better, but when you view in totality with the what he was trying to do, you appreciate it. Now that said, I watched the movie and then I remember his quote where he's like, "Once you lose your virginity to this movie," and I'm like, I don't know what you mean, man. There is that.
Yeah.
But I want to be very clear. I wanted to experience Zack Snyder's Justice League with as much positive context as possible. So I'm grateful that I went back and I sort of did the legwork.
Me too. I rewatched Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition also, and I'm very glad I did.
Yeah.
And I actually texted you after I watched it and talked about that whole lose your virginity quote. And I was like, I hate the way he said it, but I think I kind of get it. Because I was like, now, I mean, we're coming from, I've said this so many times, but like Batman 66 was my first Batman. Batman 89 has probably cemented himself in my heart as my Batman because of my age.
Yeah.
And then everything that comes after that, you have this reaction where you're like, well, this is Batman now. Right? So then you have Val Kilmer, and I'm like, well, yeah, it's okay. And then the George Clooney thing, I'm like, this is really not like the Batman I've liked before. And it kind of upsets me that this is Batman now. But then Dark Knight comes along, and then I can look back at Batman and Robin and go, this movie's so silly, but I don't mind it existing because this is the silly, Batman and Robin Batman. So like, once I can move away from that and not think of it as this is Batman as he exists now and appreciate it as someone's flavor of Batman, which I think I'm getting better at.
Yeah.
When I watch Batman v Superman, I'm like, this is Zack Snyder's Batman and Superman. And is it entirely for me? No, like I don't think he's going that those are going to be my versions of the characters.
Yeah.
But as someone who's picking up that book, so to speak, and looking at it, and that's his flavor, I'm like, yeah, I get it. And I can enjoy it. Like I don't think it's the one I'm going to watch over and over, but like I can appreciate it on its terms.
I 100% agree. Yeah.
Not without criticism, though. You know what I mean? Like, there's things that I would do differently and da-da-da-da-da. Like, I'm not completely giving it whatever, but, like, I totally can watch it now and appreciate what the fans are enjoying about it.
Yeah, it's what really becomes more clear, I think, especially with the context of what comes after, but with the added footage in the Ultimate Edition, is he's... like you're not meant to necessarily be on Batman's side. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's literally verbatim quoting Dick Cheney when he says, "If there's a 1% chance, then we have to treat it as an absolute certainty." I looked up the Cheney quote and I was like, "Well, hot damn, that's like exactly."
Right.
They did that on purpose. So there's stuff happening there where you can appreciate, okay, he's doing something a little different. And the thought I had was like, maybe Warner Brothers would have saved himself a lot of service if they would have just been on Front Street and been like, this is like a 5-part thing. This is part 2 of, like, we got to end point.
Oh, sure.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of this is, like, I don't think Snyder is without blame, but I think a lot of this is the studio trying to make people think that they were in for something that was more comparable to what Marvel was doing. Mm-hmm. And I think part of it is because that's what the studio wanted.
Right.
Which we'll talk about in just a second. But I think, my point is, I think we're at a point now where you say, okay, Man of Steel, BVS, and Snyder's Justice League, we have a trilogy of sorts that can stand as its own thing just as much as Nolan's 3 Batman movies stand as their own thing. Mm-hmm. And as such, we can look at it as beginning, middle, end.
Right.
So I guess I'm bearing the lead a little bit, but I'll just say 5 years ago, I watched Batman vs. Superman, and I said I think I hate this movie. I watched Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I loved this movie. I truly did. It was an absolutely enveloping experience. Uh-huh. It was 4 hours that, to me, honestly, I kid you not, it felt like 2 hours to me.
Yeah.
I was so fully pulled in. I had such a blast watching it with my kids. They were 100% on board with it.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, because
for 4 hours, that's pretty impressive.
We marathoned the whole thing, and we watched the theatrical version the night before. And my 12-year-old, he's like, this is already way better.
Really?
You know, about like 45 minutes in.
Yeah.
So to me, I look at this film. First, It's not like I've revisited the previous version of Justice League a ton. In fact, I think this past week might be the first time I watched it the whole way through since the theater.
I would have been interesting. I didn't do that, but I would. Yeah.
I
maybe
wanted
wish
to
I
just
had.
because I wanted to see the differences, you know.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like night and day. I mean, it's just it's one of those things where. I mean, when we talked about the theatrical cut of Justice League, we were both like, "Oh, it was fine." Like, we didn't hate it, either of us.
No, like we knew it was fractured.
Yeah.
But I think it was a romp. We didn't
Exactly.
mind. Yeah.
So I didn't go in hating that movie and wanting to see it overturned necessarily. I didn't, you know, but I didn't miss any of what was missing from that version. Mm-hmm. And everything that this version added back in, I was like, why would you cut that?
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Agreed.
That, to me, is the measure of whether it succeeded or not. Mm-hmm. You know?
I mean, and it's just a whole different take. I mean, I've seen this said elsewhere, but I absolutely thought this while I was watching it. But I mean, this is like Lord of the Rings meets superheroes. Like, this is a gargantuan, epic, you know, gods and men and whatever sort of mythic almost story. You know, and I think in the Whedon one, he tried to bring it down to earth a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's why he added that Russian family at the end. Right.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just not what Snyder was trying to do. You know, like, this is just like a battle royale of like mythological proportions. And I have to say, yeah, I was totally here for that. I really enjoyed the epicness of all of this. And sometimes we say, you know, the stakes get so high that it's like almost where can you go? And I did actually think that. I was like, where do you go from here? You know, but when they had that big battle from many years ago, right, with the Amazonians and I was just like, this is friggin' awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, that same exact sequence, we get maybe a third of that in the previous version, right?
Right. I mean, the Amazonian thing alone, right, with the box and getting out of that shelter that they're in, that was so rad. And on the horses and the ropes and that was awesome. And then you get into like Zeus and all these people, and like that becomes this whole other thing that was really cool. So I think I better understand what Snyder is trying to do. You know what I mean?
Explain
like
that. He's trying to make me lose my virginity, okay?
No, I'm just like, I think you could say that Batman v Superman felt just like really over dramatic and self-serious, and I coming from the movies that I've watched before where I am sort of like, well, what about the people? You know?
Yeah.
And Snyder's not really interested in the people. Right? And that's not a criticism, that's just his take on this. Like, these people have bigger fish to fry. Right? There's like a world, our planet Earth is at stake in a way that is just bigger than I think I've ever seen in any other superhero film. You know, like where I say it's like Lord of the Rings, like these gods and men and whatever aqua creatures and blah 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 have this thing that they're trying to protect, and now it's like we're not worried about, you know, a kid stuck in a tree. Like we got things we got to deal with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like knowing that and going into this, I had a different sort of mindset. Whereas I kind of like the kid in the tree, Superman, you know, and I want to see that again. But that's not what this is.
I think, you know, Brian, to that point, I wonder if that's part of, because the reviews of this version have been, I mean, as far as like, if we look at the Zack Snyder DC continuum, I mean, they've been rapturous, right? By comparison, right?
Right.
And I wonder if a lot of that is from knowing that this is a version, not the version.
I know that's the true for me. You know, like again with the Joss Whedon version, and I've seen a lot of people rag on the whole Russian family at the end, which I don't think was 100% effective, but I absolutely get when he was watching this why he felt like he wanted to do that. Like he wanted it to be like, no. Like Superman and Flash are going to go out and they're going to go have fun. Yeah, I mean, fun's a weird word, but they're going to go out
save people. They're going to say we're going to
save people, yeah. and they enjoy it.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is what they live for.
Yeah.
But that's not what this is. And I think once you look at it and go, yes, this is not the version, this is a version, you can go, all right, well, let's go for it.
You know, this is the thing. As I'm listening to you, right? Like, I mean, okay, so it's 4 hours long. Obviously, there's no universe where what we saw that would have been in theaters. There's just no way, right? So it would have been chopped down in some way. I can easily see like a 2.5 hour version. I mean, do we need the extended Icelandic lamentation as Aquaman leaves? Like, that would have been cut out. You can see the stuff that would have been cut out, right?
Yeah,
it's easy. However, here's the thing: this movie. The what is called Zack Snyder's Justice League was itself the result of a notes process. So, right, this is not Snyder Unleashed.
So, elaborate.
I mean, they arrived at this version of the movie having, Jeff Johns gave it his notes, John Berg, etc. I mean, they arrived at this version of the movie having compromise because his vision, just what we know of him, but what we know of his intentions, it skews even darker than this.
Oh, I see. So even you're saying this version as it exists.
Yes.
Okay.
Was itself a result of the natural compromises that happen when you're making films.
Right.
Here's my point. So he films this, right? Everything that made it into this movie was filmed by him. There's no Whedon footage at all. Mm-hmm. So obviously they had to do post and whatever, but the movie existed. So he's forced to leave due to obviously his family tragedy, and the fact that they had something releasable. This is my point. They had something releasable. Yeah, you had to hack it down, but it was all there. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's 2.5 hours long. Whatever. Maybe it's 2 hours. But whatever. It's all there. And that they kept picking at it. To me, it's like Monkey Christ.
What?
The painting of the Monkey Christ.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's that there was a painting of Jesus, and it was being restored, and the woman who restored it did not do a very good job. And, it didn't quite resemble a human face any longer.
That's what this is. That's what the theatrical cut of Justice League is.
I see. Yeah.
Where, let me fix it. And then you just turn it into something that's horrifying.
Right.
Now, obviously, that metaphor I just said is going to make more people do the Zack Snyder as Jesus painting, which is not what I meant. But, I mean, you had something that without too much work, you could have put out there. And the point is, release it in November of 2017, and it was going to do whatever it was going to do. Mm-hmm. Right? I think we've talked about this. Like Justice League was released, and it died instantly. So you can't blame that on Joss Whedon.
Right.
The audience just didn't show up for it.
Sure.
But at the very least, you would have had a movie that was representative of his vision, and you would have spared yourself 4 years of friggin' goddamn nonsense. Of just like, not just nonsense in terms of like the idiots online, but also Warner Brothers folks like having to circle the wagons and justify the decisions they made.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because what we know, we have the cut. We can see it. Well, you cut out a bunch of stuff that you shouldn't have, and you forced it down to 2 hours because you want to screen it multiple times a night. Right. You didn't want to delay it because you didn't want your bonuses affected. So all that stuff is out there in the world. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? And now we have a point of comparison, right? The hypothetical, it'll never be released. Well, now it's here. Well, we can see. And by every objective measure, that the Snyder cut is better than the theatrical cut. Right. And perfect example, we've talked on this show about Ray Fisher and sort of his upset at how he felt he was treated during the reshoots. And without getting into all that, we can definitively say they did him dirty.
Yes. You can absolutely see why he would be really frustrated with how that turned out.
Right.
I mean, he's the one of the anchors of this movie.
I mean, the scenes where we see him learning how to use his powers, where he helps the woman with the money.
Right.
And then, to me, the whole movie builds up to, at the very end, he's like, I'm not broken. I'm not alone. And I was like, that is amazing. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt that.
Yeah.
You know? So without getting into all of his specific complaints about, the motivations behind whatever was done, there's no question. I mean, they did him dirty in the theatrical cut. They cut the guts out of his performance.
Yeah.
And expected him to be grateful.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Now, as long as you're bringing up Cyborg, so he can basically do almost anything, right? Like he could launch nuclear weapons, he could hack and steal money and whatever. And as his dad is telling him this matter-of-factly, I was watching it like, why did you do that? Why did you allow him to do that?
I feel like his dad did not want his son to die.
Yeah.
And he was desperate to do whatever it took to keep him alive. And if I were to guess, he didn't realize until later just what he had done.
Right. Using the resources that he had, he gained those capabilities.
Yeah.
And then I think even in his speech, he says something to the effect of, now you have to be the type of person to decide what to do with that.
Like it's not a question of what you can do, it's what you decide not to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because Joe Morton, I mean, he's like AI dad, basically. That's his role in movie history. Yeah. But his character does not die in the original cut.
Oh, see, I don't even remember.
He's right there all the way at the end. I mean, they literally have a scene with him and Cyborg at the very end.
Oh, funny. Yeah, he's got a great death in this. Wait, are we doing spoilers?
I just assumed once we came back from break we were doing spoilers.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really sad.
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah, but really clever, marking the thing with a heat signature, and that was good stuff.
Yeah, the other thought I had is some of the differences. Obviously, between Snyder leaving and Whedon coming on, they decided that Amber Heard's character would have an American accent.
Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't
it? To me, like hearing her in this was sort of like Carrie Fisher in Star Wars.
That's funny.
I should have recognized your foul stench,
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about a broad canvas. That obviously, there's the aspect ratio has been a source of critique.
Right.
And this is one of those things where I'm like, I would have preferred like not doing that, like a normal aspect ratio. However, it's weird to me when that's like the focal point where people are like, oh, what an egotistical asshole. I'm like, dude, can you just let it? It's his movie, man. Can we not?
Yeah, I was neither here nor there on it. I have said in the past when 3D was a huge thing, or they were trying to make it a huge thing, and I've had maybe one or two good 3D experiences, but for me it was always IMAX. Whenever I would go see a Batman film, or I remember Mission Impossible 4, whatever it was.
Oh, the fourth one, yeah.
Yeah, and when he's running out of that building when that sandstorm is coming, I remember it to this day how it felt, where I could see the sky, I could see the sidewalk, and I felt like he was right in front of me, and I thought that was always better than 3D. So there was part of me that felt like, oh man, I really wish I could watch this on an IMAX screen.
Yeah.
I
mean, it wasn't even, I mean, I have a pretty big TV, and you got the black bars on the side, but it didn't pull me out of it at all.
I forgot they were there eventually. Yeah.
That was me too. So I don't know. It's, I saw an online review by a guy named Chris Stuckman who, talking about this movie, and he closed out his review. He's like, sometimes you watch a movie and as a critic, like you feel compelled to sort of point out the negatives. And he's like, I just don't feel like doing that. He's like, I enjoyed it. I had a good time and I'm just happy to leave it at that. And that's how I felt when this ended.
Dude, I would say that exactly sums up. I have thoughts, and I'll mention them here too. But like at the end of the day, this just really feels almost, not like an experiment, but this just feels like a love letter to a group of people who really cared about this. And I enjoyed it. I'm sure they enjoyed it 10 times more than I did. And I just love it. It's just like this fun little anomaly thing. And I totally had a good time watching it, and it's almost like, do my criticisms even matter?
It made me think of again, harking back to the Nolan trilogy. Like, I remember when I watched The Dark Knight Rises, I had a visceral negative reaction. And it was because I couldn't separate my expectations of that character from Nolan's intentions, right? Mm-hmm. And it took a while because I did not revisit The Dark Knight Rises the whole way through until this past year during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I talked about it on our show. I watched it as a trilogy. I watched it with the kids. And at that point, I was like, this is his thing. This is Nolan's story.
Right.
And that's what you watch it as. You watch it as this is his trilogy. Well, to me, it's like this is Snyder's trilogy. I personally don't need to see another frame of footage after in this universe to not feel satiated. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, the restore the Snyderverse stuff is already trending on, and will, who knows if anything comes of that. But my point is,
very curious, by the way, about that.
I know that like Ann Sarnoff at Warner Brothers is already like getting on Front Street, being like, nope, done, that's it, it's over. Right. We'll see. Never say never. Yeah. Forever is a long time. However, my point is, if we don't see anything else ever from this filmmaker in this universe, at least there is firm closure on it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not these two movies building up to something that's only tangentially connected.
Right.
It's not this untended sore.
You know what's funny, by the way? So this was one of my... I wouldn't even go so far as to call it a criticism, but with this movie being at the 4 hours, I don't mind that it's 4 hours. I do think Snyder probably felt the impulse to not leave anything out.
Yes.
And I think as a film, it may have benefited from being more like 3.5 hours.
I agree.
Because I feel like Aquaman got like 2 intros. You know what I mean? And there were just some things that I felt like...
Well, again, the Icelandic lamentation as he's swimming away.
Oh, I forgot. Yes, the women
they're like
singing.
They're like smelling his sweater and stuff. I was like, all right, well, that's an easy... Like, that, that would have been cut.
Yeah, of course. And I think you could have almost... Yeah, that feels very Lord of the Rings extended.
Right, yes, exactly.
But, like, I in my little writery mind, I would have had Aquaman come in and dump the guy on the table, and then Bruce Wayne is there, like... like, combine some of this stuff and made it. But at the same time, if you look at it more like a mini-series...
Which it's certainly structured as.
Exactly. Then it's just like you can feel a little bit better about that. But as like a one-time sit-down sort of cinematic experience, I might have like snipped a little here and there. But you know what made me think was when you were talking about The Dark Knight Rises, I wish that movie had been 3.5, 4 hours. Because that movie feels longer. Like a 4-hour movie trimmed within an inch of its life, maybe past. You know?
Yeah.
And because it covers such a span of time, and I've always felt like it's not a terrible movie. It's just absolutely whittled to death.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Release the Dark Knight Rises Nolan.
Release the Nolan cut. I mean, the difference is, like, that probably is the Nolan cut. Like, I don't think an extended version of that will ever come out.
No, I'm absolutely kidding. But yeah.
I mean, with this, that was my thing. I was like... For all the complaints about the runtime, I'm like, well, look, we know who this is aimed at, and they want to see every piece of it, and whatever, man. Let them have it. Like, that's, I don't know.
100% agree. And that's why I would say, like, that's how I felt. And it reminded me, like, even, like, my favorite movies of all time, like Terminator 2. You know, you watch the director's cut, and you're like, it feels a little better with some of this stuff trimmed.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a better theatrical 2 hour, 15-minute, whatever existence of that film. But I agree. This is a different beast. Like this isn't a movie. This is just an absolute love opus. You know what I mean? For a group of people. And I agree. Put everything in there. I totally get it.
Couple in terms of like the differences between this and the Whedon version. I mean, obviously a lot of the one-liners and things like that are trimmed.
Yeah.
There's a piece in the theatrical cut where Bruce Wayne tells Aquaman, "Oh, I hear you talk to fish," which I thought was a pretty funny line. They cut that. There's also a bit where Aquaman like sits on Wonder Woman's lasso, and he starts just like unvarnished telling the truth.
Yeah, which is very funny.
Which is funny. They cut that. But I was actually surprised how many of the moments I like were in this cut. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So there's that presumption of like, oh, all the jokey stuff is from Joss Whedon. It's actually, no, there's some pretty witty moments that are in this, you know?
The Flash especially. I mean,
Flash.
That line, too, where he's like, you know, I'm in. Like, cutting off Bruce Wayne, I love that. And then him being like, look, I need friends.
I don't have friends. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very sweet. And I liked that the first time, and it was delightful to see that was Snyder.
Yeah, and another thing that was put back in was, surrounding the whole resurrection of Superman, that Mark McClure is the guy who's just like security at that statue.
Oh man, I think you mentioned that a week ago, and I didn't think to look for that. I didn't notice him.
Yeah, it's he's the cop who Lois like always gets the coffee for.
Oh, I did not connect that. Wow. That's cool, and I like that, by the way, just as a detail that she goes there every day and she brings coffee to the.
It actually makes the resurrection of Superman breathe a little more, because in the theatrical cut they added this bit where Batman has Lois as like the secret weapon in case the resurrection of Superman goes bad. We can just bust out Lois Lane to like shock him back, and instead, no, she happened to be there. And and it just kind of works a little better. The other thing is the resurrection of Superman. They added the little like Cyborg has these flashes of no pun intended, these of images of like a potential future,
right?
What, and obviously that's part of that is laying pipe for the sequels that will never happen. But the other thing is when Flash is running, building up speed to jumpstart the mother box, they plant the seed for the end of the movie, which is that if he runs fast enough, time starts moving backwards.
Right.
And that was like a little thing, which I appreciated, that the ending didn't feel, I mean, weirdly, like, it didn't feel as out of nowhere as Superman turning back time in the 78 movie.
Sure. Like,
they actually did plant the seed for it.
Yeah.
You know? And so to me, I think Superman. I'm you know me, I always want more Superman, but obviously he just looks better without the CGI mustache.
Oh, sure.
Or the mustache removal, I should say.
Yeah.
But the other thing is me personally, I would have liked him to be in his classic suit.
Yeah, that didn't bother me. I think moving forward in the next movies, I would want him to return to that.
I agree.
But I was sort of like, yeah, they think it looks cool. It does look cool. Let's do it.
The only thing, I agree with you about, like, in the final battle, it's fine. The only thing I was like, oh, well, I wish they didn't do that, is at the very end when he rips his shirt open.
Oh, that it's the black suit.
That it was, yeah, I wish it was the classic suit.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because that's, yes, to know that's what he will continue to be that.
Exactly.
Version. Yeah, right. Yeah. I did, one of my notes I wrote down was, damn it, I want a Ben Affleck Batman and another Henry Cavill Superman movie.
So bad, right?
So badly, yeah. Wait, going back real quick to the Lois thing. So this was really interesting. So Lois has not been back to the Daily Planet since Clark's death.
Correct.
And then she gets this sort of pep talk from Martha Kent.
Who is not Martha Kent.
Who we find out is not Martha Kent. And it's, it nudges Lois then to go to her final sort of, that's the last time she's going to go there, and it's a good thing she goes to that monument because she snaps Superman out of it.
Yeah.
But do you think, Martian Manhunter didn't do that on purpose. Was that just some sort of fan service-y, I got to squeeze him in? Because I thought I had read that they wanted that to be one of the Green Lantern.
That's at the end. That's at the end.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. You're right.
But as far as Martian Manhunter, my sense is he did, I don't think he pulled the strings to like make what was going to happen, but I think he's probably monitoring what the League is doing from a distance.
Right.
So he has a sense of what they have planned.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say he necessarily meant for Lois to be there at that moment. I think that was just probably good luck.
Mm-hmm.
I do like throwing the Martian Manhunter in there, and I think Harry Lennox playing him like yeah, why not?
Pretty cool. Yeah.
He's such a good actor. I like Harry Lennox. He's just so he has a gravitas, you know.
Yep. Brings good presence. And then also, I just wanted to just throw out with Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, that whole sequence with the bomb at the beginning and all those kids. I was like, man, they really just figured out Wonder Woman, didn't they? Cinematically, like that was awesome. Like if that had been Wonder Woman 3, I'd be like, let's go.
She just straight up murders that one guy, though, doesn't she?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He's like, I don't believe it. She's like, believe it.
His hat just...
That's what I'm saying. I picture just like he's just splattered against the wall, and then that little girl's like, "Can I be like you when I grow up?"
Right. Yeah. If all the children then like walked away, and you see that like the wall is like red, but you realize it's like the outline of the children's heads from where they had been, so it's like white below, and like, you're like, oh damn.
No, I wanted to mention briefly the redesign on Steppenwolf.
Yeah,
is like night and day.
Mm-hmm. Would physically and also as a character?
Both, yeah. I mean, let's focus on the visuals first, right? I mean, this was complaint number one when we watched the original. He looked like a PS3 cutscene, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it was not rendered to where it needed to be. You still had Kyron Hines doing the voice, but it was. Mm-hmm. You know, and then they cut out all the stuff about Darkseid and Apocalypse and everything, which, again, this stuff, I don't understand these choices because one assumes that they still wanted the theatrical release to plant some seeds. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's weird that they cut out the stuff that alludes to a world that exists beyond the frames of this film. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because to me, and I've talked to you before, I love all the stuff Darkseid and the New Gods and all that. That's one of my favorite parts of the DC mythology. So I was concerned because there was a part of me that's like, well, what does the Zack Snyder version of this look like? Mm-hmm. And I was gratified that it all played pretty well, and I think it makes Steppenwolf a more interesting character. And then when the stuff they bring in with Darkseid and things, it's like, oh, where's that headed? You know.
I 100% agree. I thought Steppenwolf was... I knew he was working for me when I started feeling a little bad for him a couple times.
Right.
And I was like, this guy wants me dead. Like, he became an interesting person, and he had a boss, and he needed to please this guy. And it just added... Man, I mean, just... With your villains, you know? It's just... It's hard to make these sort of CG people... seem interesting, but like if you can just really give them some sort of motivation you can understand, it goes such a long way.
And especially in the comic books, you know, Steppenwolf is Darkseid's uncle.
Mm. Oh,
and that to me is a fascinating wrinkle in the hierarchy. Mm-hmm. And you know, I don't know that we even need to see it play out in this version, but I like that. Again, I just like that. They make the universe bigger rather than smaller. You know, it ends with the thing where you see the League lock eyes with Darkseid, and you're like, that's a thing. Mm-hmm. That, again, whether we see it or not, it's going to happen.
Right.
And that, to me, is just... It's stuff... Again, to me, it's just like, why cut that? That's what I keep coming back to.
Right.
Like, what did you think you were gaining by losing this stuff? Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Odd choices, because I try not to ascribe sinister motivations to the people who made these changes after Snyder left. I don't think they had an axe to grind against him necessarily, but I'm just like, you guys you didn't set out to make questionable choices. So what's the intent there?
Yeah, what was the thinking? Given
what you're cutting out, like given you've already got something, why are you turning it into Monkey Christ?
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe it's also that was Snyder's map.
Sure.
And then they bring in this other guy who's sort of a guy. He's like, well, I got a map too. You know?
I guess, man. I don't know. Okay, so one thing I will say is the epilogue sequence set in the nightmare future. This is if I have a critique, it's this. I just be like, I don't think you needed it like at all.
Agreed. I realize this is him just putting everything on the table because he realizes
I understand the impulse, and he said, like, if this is the end of this version, like, it'd be a shame not to see this Batman and this Joker face off against each other. Okay, I dig that.
Yeah.
But to me, if we look at the rest of the film as being the result of Snyder sort of, working with the suits, the epilogue is Snyder unfiltered.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And to me, I'm like, if this is where you leave it, maybe that's fine. But I feel like what we're doing is pointing toward several more years of angry hashtags.
But you know what? I will say this. Previous to the Joker, when it's just like Lois Lane is dead, Superman's pissed, that I was like, go on. Like, I don't see that being the worldwide $1 billion commercial 4-quadrant smash version of a sequel to Justice League. However, again, as we're saying, if this doesn't have to be the Justice League, but this is a Justice League, I'm intrigued. I was like, I'm intrigued by this little tease. However, yes, once the Joker showed up, I was like, I just don't like this Joker. I'm never going to get on board with this. Like,
you don't want him giving you a reach around?
Oh, man. Yeah, that was like, I can't even imagine what Leto was just like. Oh, I got a whole arsenal of them. Just watch everything I'm going to throw out at you.
You know what's funny is I read an interview about that line where Snyder's like, yeah, Leto just kind of ad-libbed that.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's never going to win the movie. And Zack Snyder's like, oh, yeah, you watch.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is the most on-brand, both of you guys.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's one of those things where, honestly, I didn't even have a problem with Batman using the F word. That stuff, none of that stuff really bothered me. But I was definitely like, knowing where that story was headed, it's just not something I'm particularly interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So putting it out there, if it's just like, hey, here's what I would have done, peace out later, guys, that's fine. But as like a thing that's now going to be like, ooh, we all want to see that version, we're going to harass Warner Brothers. Like, I hope people don't do that,
I agree with that, but I will say, I don't think it was necessary. I think the movie could have ended and it would have been a nice the end.
Right.
However, I did I got to admit, I mean, I did enjoy seeing Batman and Joker talk about a history we haven't seen about Harley and all of that. And then, Joker, like, you almost got me kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I just wish it was a different actor. I'm just being, I don't mean to be a hater.
You're on record as being not a Leto fan.
No, because I just see an actor who is just like, give me 2 minutes and I'm going to make everyone forget what came before it, and I'm like, just... Come on, man! Just be the Joker. Don't be like a guy trying to be the Joker.
Brian, here's what I'll say.
The show.
Here's what I'll say in defense of this version, specifically in this. It seems like what Snyder was trying to do is create sort of an amalgam of several Jokers, because obviously you have Leto in there, but you also see the Arthur Fleck version. You also see the Heath Ledger version. Mm-hmm. And there's something, at least to me, that's interesting about the idea of creating a synthesis of many different incarnations of this character.
I get that. But I would have been interested, too, knowing that Batman's a little older. And I know this would never work, but some version of, like, what if it was like Jack Nicholson?
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? And he's old and whatever, and he's lost Harley, and they've been through battles together, and just seeing an old weathered Joker who's still got that little evil glint in his eye, and like, that would be kind of interesting.
I can dig it.
But I just feel like Leto is like trying to do an impersonation of someone else doing the Joker, and it's just I can't get past it.
To me, Jared Leto is somebody who never lets you forget that he's acting.
Yes, add that to what I just said.
Right,
that's exactly what I'm trying to convey. Yeah,
but the way I look at it, I mean, because the Nightmare epilogue was all shot last fall. That's all new footage.
Okay.
So I'm like,
even with the others?
Yeah, everything.
Like Mira and everything?
Yeah, yeah. Huh. That's my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it does look kind of like put together.
Yeah, I had read that Affleck and Leto were not together,
Okay.
but they get around that.
I don't. It didn't bother me.
No.
In fact, and somebody can correct me, but it feels like the shot at the end of that scene where the like Superman lands and his eyes are lit up. It feels like that's like the exact same shot from the nightmare scene in BVS. So I could be wrong about that though. If somebody wants to correct me, they can. The final shot, which is Bruce Wayne meeting the Martian Manhunter. Mm-hmm. I believe that's among the reshoots, the new footage.
Yeah,
because Affleck looks noticeably thinner.
Right.
And so I liked it. I think it's a good button for the movie. And to your earlier point, yeah, his original plan was for that to be the Green Lantern. Mm-hmm. And this would have been the Jon Stewart Green Lantern, not the Daily Show Jon Stewart, but the African American Jon Stewart character from the animated show. And the studio said no, so he arrived at Martian Manhunter as a compromise. But I think as a way to close out the movie and potentially this wing of the DC experience, I'm down.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I'm like looking at this movie differently than I normally would.
Yeah,
and I kind of appreciate a person getting the opportunity to just put it all out there, and you got to admire that. Like it is absolutely, it's a vision. It's his vision, and it's all there, and I had a good time watching it, and I'm sure the fans are loving it, and it makes me happy for them.
That's the truly, like, as I was watching it, because I got to see it a little bit early, I'm like thinking of the people who I like who have been waiting for this, and I'm like, this is not comparable to when I watched the Donner edit of Superman 2, and it was like, well. This is a thing, because that was something I was really excited about.
Yeah.
And then
it's a little compromised.
That's exactly
They were
right.
limited in what they were able to pull off.
Yeah, and so watching that film did not measure up to what I had hoped it would be. And I'm like, if you've been keeping a candle lit for this version of the movie, you got a meal, son. You got a meal, and you got like turkey sandwiches for the next couple days, What else can you ask for?
Yeah. And just one last thing I want to throw out there. I really love that the Flash sequence where he's going for that job, at the pet store or whatever it is, and then the rushing out with the girl in the car. That was just like, yeah. It's just that alone as a standalone sequence was just a blast.
It's funny because again, this goes to sort of the critique. Some of the critiques you see online, you wonder how much of it is a legitimate critique and how much of it is just like, I need to criticize this, right?
Oh, snap. Okay. I don't know where this is going. What
the critique is like, oh, it's the Flash. Why is it all in slow motion? Right?
So we can see what he's seeing.
That's what I'm saying, right? I'm like, you did something similar in X-Men with Quicksilver.
Yeah.
And those were hailed as like really fun sequences. So it's like, I don't know. I truly, having looked at some of the reactions, I do feel like, some of this stuff people just like have an axe to grind against Zack Snyder, and I don't understand that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, some of it, I think there's valid critiques, and then there's stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely think, shoot, look at the history of our show, you and I. I think we want everything to be great. Like, and it's not us like apologizing for things. Like, I don't know, some things are legitimately things that should be critiqued. And no, that didn't work for this reason. But yeah, the nitpicky stuff, I just don't.
Yeah.
I have nitpicks too, but I'm not going to hold them against the movie when I don't feel like they're that critical.
Here at Movie Film, we celebrate movies and film.
We tried, damn it.
Come back next week for our commentary track for Joe Dirt. It's gonna be it's gonna be something.
It's just me like, well, darn it, they tried.
For 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I think we covered a lot of ground. Did we miss anything in your notes?
I don't think so, except I don't know why Aquaman puts a shirt on, except, because he keeps taking it off.
Sure.
It's like every time we see him, he's like taking his shirt off. I'm like, well, why'd you put it back on?
Yeah, well, he wants everyone to rejoice in seeing his pecs exposed.
They are impressive.
Yeah.
I
do want to mention this. I just found this funny. When I went through the movies with my kids, in Man of Steel, we watched the part where of course Kevin Costner, he's sucked up into the tornado, and my kids are like, oh, we liked it better in the other version when he has a heart attack, whatever. And then in Batman vs Superman, if you remember, there's like where Clark goes on like his spirit quest or whatever it is, and he's up the mountain and he sees Jonathan Kent, right? Mm-hmm. And my 10-year-old's like, so is that where the tornado blew him? And I was like, that's pretty funny.
That's my boy.
Like, he was being serious, but I was like, that is quite amusing.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. I was like, that's a brilliant joke.
Yeah, no, he was being serious. So I was like, oh. So.
That's cute.
But yeah, so that is, that's that.
Last thing I'll say then is how cool that this can exist. Sometimes I was thinking about this with I Care a Lot last night, where I was just so taken with the idea that I was seeing a movie where it was truly original and I had no idea where it was going, and that's invigorating for me as a film viewer. Except I don't know that movie would have come out in theaters, right? These days.
Yeah.
And I just, as much as I lament the loss of the theater going experience for a lot of these things that we're watching, I still absolutely am thankful that with the avenues that we have now with streamers and whatnot, that we are able to get more stuff.
Yeah.
And things that appeal to all different sorts of people. I'm sure there are people who are fans of things I've never heard of, And so likewise, I think it's really cool that, this thing probably wouldn't exist without this avenue or outlet. And so it's cool. It's an exciting time for this kind of stuff.
I 100% agree. I think in terms of what's potentially accessible now because of this, like, there's a lot of possibilities now. Obviously people want like the David Ayer edit of Suicide Squad, but just thinking beyond that, how many other versions of like non-superhero movies can we potentially dip back into, and they're allowing for new content to exist for these streaming platforms.
Yeah,
it's a brave new world.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, that wraps up this discussion. We covered a lot of ground.
I do have to say this. My brother, we were talking about it, Justice League, and he was like, so you and Zack gonna do a commentary?
4 hours?
4 hours, yeah. I was like, Dan, don't you speak it. Don't you speak it aloud.
You know what's funny is next year, I think you and I both probably intend to do Dark Knight Rises just to close out that trilogy. Mm-hmm. And that's one of those ones where I'm like,
I know.
It's a coming. Not Justice League, not anytime soon. Never say never, because hey, who would have thought that this version would be released?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So never say never, but not anytime soon is what I'll say to that.
Yeah. I'll bring my taxes. Yeah.
All right. So, what do you want to tell people about?
Puppy Dog Pals, airing on Disney, Disney Plus, and Disney Junior. Writing on that, having a great time.
Well, there you go. And as for me, you can find me on Twitter at Zacky's Corner. That's ZAKIS Corner. It's also my website, justedit.com. You can also find my reviews at San Francisco Chronicle and IGN. At IGN, my new review of Nobody has just been posted. And you can also look for my review at the Chronicle of the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. And also the new William Shatner starring vehicle, which is a weird sentence to say in 2021, but it's called Senior Moment. It's a rom-com with William Shatner and Jean Marsh. So check out my review of that also by the time you're listening to this. And as always, please keep your questions and comments coming. You can email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, and message us there. As always, please go to iTunes and leave a review, leave a star rating. Every little bit helps, and we appreciate all the feedback that we get. With that, on behalf of my partner, Brian Hall, my name is Zachy Hassan. This has been Movie Film 220, and we will catch you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast.